Hey everybody, it's David R. Becker again with BeckerArt, and we're here today to do a wonderful painting of a little bird, a cardinal, and some snow. And so I'm going to teach you how to use a little bit of mascoid to use on your branches to make it look so winter-like. And in the shot that I sent out on my email this week, it wasn't very snowy, but I'm going to show you how to make it snowy. And so happy holidays, by the way. And today we've got a special beer, and I want to thank Tim, my beer buddy. He just got me this glass he sent me these glasses, not these, this glass, the beer glass. And I poured some today. We've got some honey orange triple. And so that's what we're drinking today, and it's from Belgium, and it's 10% alcohol. So if I don't get finished, you know why. So cheers, everybody. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and let me see what this tastes like. And, that's good. It's very good. It's actually a honey orange triple. Very good. I'm going to give that it's definitely a 10. They're almost at 11, but it's a 10. So that's what we're drinking today. So cheers, everybody. And so let's get right down to it. And also, let me just see here. If you want anybody who's new, just remember to come to my website at BeckerArt.net or my name, DavidRBecker.com. And you go down here to find your painting, what we're painting each week. And so there you go, right there. You always find this is what we painted last week. And by the way, great job on those last week paintings. And the week before that, we did Christmas cards. And so let's have some fun today painting a cardinal. And so let's go right to our supplies. Here are the supplies I'm using. I did use mascoid this time. And so I did use some of the Holbein masking fluid, which is actually a very good masking fluid. I love it. You can use it really thin, and that way it doesn't tear your paper as much if you use it really nice and thin, and it comes off just perfectly. And which I did this afternoon. I'll show you in a second. And let's just go to our value study first. We always go to our value study because that's the second most important thing. And if you had my newsletter this week, you found out that I showed you how to do a pencil sketch, a pencil value study. And here, like I said, I normally don't do a pencil study for these, but if you ever do your own thing, make sure you do a value study. So here what we wanted to see is that what I did this afternoon is a couple of things I'm going to show you that I didn't do that I'm going to do now. And one thing is that the bird and these tree branches are my darks, and the whole background is kind of like my lighter area. These trees are the darkest, and there is a little bit of dark back here, but behind the bird here is a little bit darker, which I didn't do, and I'll show you in a second. And here, this area in here is light, so the bird is actually dark. But this is one instance where the colors will be a big part of the composition, because everything else is going to be gray and warm grays and cool grays, but the bird itself is going to be bright red, being a cardinal. And so it'll be just standing out like a sore thumb. So it's already made for you. The composition is very simple, the composition. I will reflect a little bit of the red into the trees, which I didn't also do. So let me just show you what I did this afternoon. And so here's what I did this afternoon. And as you can see, the few things I'm going to change is, one, I didn't put any of the red into the trees. You know, it's funny because when I do them in the afternoon, before I come on this evening, I always think I know what I'm doing. And then I find out that after I look at it for a little bit, I'm thinking, okay, this is what I did wrong. And that's a great thing, just to see. One thing I didn't do was I didn't reflect the red into the trees. And that would be a nice thing to do. It wasn't in the picture, but again, I'm not painting it as a photograph. I'm painting it as a painting, and I think that would lend itself well to have the color of the bird into the trees. I gotta get another drink of this. This is very good. Cheers, everybody. This is a 10. It's honey orange triple. And so, and another thing I did wrong, and it's not wrong, but I think to have him come forward, I'm gonna make his head lighter than the background, and that'll brighten up the bird by making a darker background behind him. Right now, it's a bright color and it's coming forward, but I want to emphasize that it just a little bit more. And by bringing the background a little bit darker behind the front, and if in the drawing, all of us in class this afternoon drew him way too puffy. I mean, he's out there and everybody had him pregnant, even though it's a male bird, or he had a big beer belly on him. So I had it way out here, like because in the picture it's like that way. But if you want to slim him up a little bit and cut down a few calories on the bird, don't puff him up unless you want him puffed up like for the winter. That's fine. You can go ahead and do that. And so I cut him down a little bit. And this one I cut down even more on this one. So he's going to be a young cardinal. And so we'll get right down to it. And like I said, I did use mascoid already. I already poured the beer today because we have a lot to do. And so I poured the beer first. And I also did the mascoid first so that you can see. I put the mascoid on in these areas. And I put it on with this. It's a rubber brush. If you can see that. It's just like a rubber sculpting tool. And it's just rubber. And you just dip it in there. And I just put it on there. And you can tell I put it on sometimes. I can put it on pretty thin. It really works well, this masking fluid, and it also repels the paint. You'll see when I put the first wash on, it repels the paint, and so you'll see where you actually are putting the paint and where it's not showing, and so that's great. You could spatter it all around to get snow, but I just did that with the white paint. Here I did some snow, which is not in the photograph, but I decided to put it in anyways because I just thought it's a nice wintry scene. And I want to show you how to put. Easy way of putting snow on trees is putting mascoid on first. It's the simplest thing to do. It's so simple, and this painting is going to be very simple because it's basically three brush strokes. Well, I can believe that. It's kind of like 3 brush strokes. And let's see who's all here with us today. And so today we have Paula. Hey, Paula. Karen, Sonia, Tina, Sue. Thanks, guys. You guys did a great job on last week's painting. I really love what you guys did. I want to do more of that kind of scene with blue and orange. That was really kind of really fun to do that one. I really love that combination of colors. And so today we're going to go with grays, and so get your black out. The black, you can make your grays easily with the black in any color you can put in there. It'll come instant gray. And for the bird itself, I'm using Scarlet Lake, the brightest red I have, and a little bit of Brilliant Orange, which Holbein makes. And so let's get right down to it. Boy, that is a pretty good beer. I mean, I may have to switch my thing to 11. It's a very, very good beer. Okay, and the glass. Thank you, Tim. Thank you for the glass. The glass is awesome. Look at that glass. Look at that beer glass. I'm getting fancy here at the BeckerArt Studios. All right, and so what we're going to do is we are going to wet the whole background except for around the head here because I did wet this whole thing up. But now, I'm going to make this darker in the background. So I don't want to go with the blue and grays into the head because I want the red to stand out there. So I'm just going to go around this area, but everything else, like I went through this area because I didn't make it really that dark, and so the red popped out anyways. Again, you can wet it as you go along also, but I like to make it a little bit farther. And I also used our fancy new spray bottle, or sprayer, or mister. I shouldn't say sprayer, it's a mister. And I should put right on there, mister, not a sprayer. And I did that while I keep it wet a little bit in some spots. So I may be using that again too. And so let me just go down here, do the head here. And because I want some of this to be soft edge on the bird, not all hard edge like I did last time, I'm going to probably go into the bird here a little bit. And just the top part right here. I'm just going to keep nice. And see, by having this background a little bit darker over here, it'll make the beak and his whole head pop forward a little bit. And so that's a good thing. And the rest I'll just wet. I hope everybody is getting plans ready for tomorrow, Christmas Eve. And so I know you have a lot of people are probably not going to be on tonight. So they'll watch it later sometime next week. Or it was pretty low amount of people in class today, but I understand. And so here we go. So let's get some black and make a gray. You can also take a little bit of, I love lavender and purples to make my grays. You know, so do you want it a cool gray or a warm gray? I'll pick out either a warm color. If I want a warm, I'll just go into the red here maybe a little bit and it'll be like a reddish gray and a little bit of black. And now have fun with the background. Splash around. You don't have to worry about the trees or the snow because you already put that on there with the masking fluid. So you don't have to worry about that. And, you know, I should make it probably cooler. Well, whatever. It doesn't matter because the bird is so bright that it really doesn't matter what you do with the background. I tell you, it's a fun painting. You know, have fun with it. Some purple in this area. And then I'm also, while it's wet, I'm going to put some branches and stuff like that in there. Go right over the bird. Don't worry about the bird down here. Maybe a little bit right over this way. And then I'm going to go a little bit darker, maybe a bluish, cool, dark. That's ultramarine how I got over here. And so I'm putting down these washes into a wet wash, floating my pigment, of course, floating my pigment. And I'm going to keep this nice and hard edged up here, but down here I'm just going to let it bleed into the bird itself. I'm just going to make sure I have this kind of a little bit darker here. And then also in this background of all this wild, crazy brushwork, I'm going to put in branches and all that kind of stuff. Maybe leave some parts white and all that kind of thing. So it looks like a blurry, lost edge background. And again, like last week, I was telling everybody that I'm really into lost edges lately. Losing those edges, loony edges, that's good too. Losing those edges and trying to make things soft edged. So not everything is hard edged. You know, it's easy to do a hard edges because you just wait until it dries and you make a hard edge. But working those soft edges and trying to get things to look nice and soft and bleeding into the background, that's what you want to learn how to do. I really want you to learn how to do that. And see here, I'm going here now, putting a couple branches in there. These are all going to be very, very soft looking branches, and some of them will even disappear. They'll go into the background. You can spatter a little bit. And I'm not worrying about anything over here with the tree. The trees are going to be darker, remember, than the background. So the background, this is my light. This is my light background. I mean, it's middle toned. It's not super dark. And you can make it snow in it right now too. You can maybe take a little bit of white and just sprinkle a little bit of white into it. Why not? You know, it'll be blurry. It'll be blurry snowflakes. And give it a little texture. I always hit it on my hand like this, and now I can just hit it down there. And it's all wet, so it's going to bleed in there and be soft edged. You know, just have it a fun background, and give yourself maybe a few leaves or berries, or even you just do some red spots. I didn't do that in this afternoon. But I thought to myself, I've got to do it this time because it'd be kind of nice to have a couple of little red berries on the trees. You know, and then later on we put the white snow flaking on there and everything like that. That would be cool. And again, this is not very dark here, so let's get a little bit darker there. Only right there by the head I want to get a little bit darker because I want that to pop. I want that to pop out here, and I don't want to put too much detail in the background here, because I want it fighting with the head of the bird. And this is all fun stuff. This is like doing a background when you're doing flowers. You know, you just kind of go in there and get branches and all kinds of things. Let the watercolor do its thing. You know, this is a time. This is a time now where you can let the watercolor just have fun. And also for anybody who's new, if there is anybody new, I know there's probably a low amount of people watching today. But remember, ask me questions by putting in the chat, and I'll look up every once in a while. I appreciate you taking time out to do a demo right before Christmas Eve. Yeah, I haven't even bought a present. I bought one present. I just have to wrap. Our family is doing my mom and dad and my brothers, and we're all just buying one gift and throwing it into the center, and you pick one. And so, so we'll see how that works. Okay, let's see. That's pretty neat, isn't it? Look at how nice that looks. All kinds of stuff happening in there. I love washy backgrounds like this because it's fun. You know, it's just make it soft edge. And like I said, the only part I left alone, hard edge, is right there, and the rest I had even in the bird. See, I went into the bird. Don't worry about the bird. The bird will be fine. Just right up here where I want the really bright red. That's where I'm going to put it a little bit and watch it up there a little bit, and then put little dots and stuff. And you can make it things run. You can make branches. You can have watermarks. That's all. It's all good. You want to throw salt in there? You want to put other things in there? This is the time. It's perfect. It's a very simple way of painting when you're doing wet into wet. Hard edge that dried. Look at that. Why did I put a hard edge right there? Oh, we'll leave it in there. All right. So now we actually have to let it dry because now I'm going to go right into my trees. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the sound here for a second. I do have my hairdryer right here. I knew I was going to have to do this with the hairdryer because we have to get this done. So let me just shut off the sound for a second, and that way you don't hear my big hairdryer, loud hairdryer. I'll be right back. Talk with yourselves. All right, we're back. That was pretty quick, right? Look at that. Oh, it's not totally dry, but it's dry enough. But look at how this masking fluid is amazing masking fluid. I must say, Holbein makes some great stuff. And this masking fluid, I love that it repels the paint. Look how it repels the paint. It's a light blue, so you can tell what you put it on. And now when I'm doing the trees, I know where not to go over and where they leave the light. And then when it's totally dry, it wasn't actually that hard to take off at all. I used a Nita rubber eraser. I just rubbed it, and it came off really beautifully on this one. Didn't tear anything. Yeah, came right off. You do have to wait till it totally dries, so it came off beautifully. I was really surprised because a lot of times this paper is not as strong as some papers when it comes to the masking fluid. I love the surface and I love how it works, but sometimes it kind of, but it didn't rip it at all. It pulled off a little, maybe a fiber a little bit, but it doesn't matter because you're just gonna keep it white anyways. So it was a really good. A lot of times I've used a tape, the soft tape that Holbein makes, and that's also a good thing to cut in. But I don't want to do that. I just wanted to throw a bunch of the masking fluid down, and I just put it in there really quickly and on the edge of the trees and on top of the branch, and it'll keep it white, right? And if you want it to be like light blue, the snow or something, then you'd have to do the wash first, let it dry, then put the masking fluid on top of that, and then do the darks like I'm going to do now. So I'm going to take my smaller brush, maybe my round brush, and the thing I did wrong in this paper or on this painting is that each one of these trees are about the same thickness. And look at 1, 2, 3 right in a row. They're even divided separately almost perfectly. So I changed that, and so this one I made out a little bit farther. Gonna make this one the thickest one, and make these smaller, and this one really small. So change things up a little bit. You have to, and that's how come it's good to sometimes do a practice first. And this is basically almost like a value study when I'm doing this first one for the classes, and they're like the guinea pigs. They know they're the guinea pigs in my my workshops in the evening. And but so here we go. We're gonna go in with a little bit of dark. I'm gonna start out with black. And then I put color into it, maybe a little bit of orange or red. And then this tree right here, I'm just going to break it down. And I'm not going super straight. I'm kind of, going down like this. Go right over the masking fluid, doesn't matter. It repels it. And you see how it's a little bit damp, and so you're going to get a little bit of that edges, but that's okay. It'll make it look like it's a little frayed right there, the tree. And now I'm going to put some other colors in there. And I'm also, knowing that the bird is going to be red, really bright red, I'm going to throw a little bit of red in there this time. And then, and also a little bit of solid black. Some really nice dark purpley black. I'm going to put on the left side, right underneath the snow, because the snow will be like guarding it a little bit. And then a couple branches going off of here, going right to that snow. And then I'll put a little white in there also. Now this branch, this one is a little bit thicker. This one I want to make a thick one, so I'm going down there pretty thick. And break it up a little bit. And then this one, I definitely want to float some red. Once it's wet, then don't be afraid of floating other colors in there. And so I'll take some of my vibrant orange and just float that right on top of the water and get some of that reflecting from the bird. Because I know it's not actually that way in the picture, but again, do what you have to do to make it look good, better than the photo. We're not photographers, we're artists, so we have to do our own thing. We have to make it look better than the photo. And then this one, I'm gonna use this my number 8 brush to make it a little bit smaller. And then let's see, I had a little branch right here. There's a little branch going this way. See how I don't just do one color all the way down? Please don't ever just use one color. Put other colors that are in the painting into that area. So my background is kind of cooler, has some worms in it. Look at all these beautiful pinks that I got in here this time. Isn't that neat? Check that out. Look at how they just floated when I spattered. It's just a nice, grayish kind of pastel-y look back there. And now I'm going with hard edges, and I'm coming right in the front here. I'm just going to make some really dark darks coming through here. I'm trying to make these different, the different sizes this time. And I was never been the person that would ever do a painting twice. I just hated doing that. But this I started noticing that with my class being in the afternoon and then doing these at night, it really did show me that sometimes the second painting is like the first painting is basically a value study, basically a value sketch that's in color, a color sketch. Like if you were to do a big painting, you definitely do one of these smaller ones first because it really helps you out to see what maybe you could do differently or better. Or don't make it a super tight painting. just go in there and try to see what you can do to make it look like what you think is going to be the best that it can be. So I'm going in here, putting little branches in there. And a couple people in class today asked, well, how many branches? A lot. When it comes to branches, and if you look at the photo itself, it doesn't have many branches. It looks more like a thorny kind of branch. You know, these little thorns that come off the tree. You can do it that way too. I decided and I elected to do a little bit more branches than that were on there. But if you want to do it just like the photograph, that's fine. You do that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Here, now I put a little bit of red in there. And maybe I'll even put a little blue on one side of the tree. A little lavender maybe. A little opaque. It's still wet, so it's floating, so I can put a little other things in there. And it would have a lot of gray and a little violet here and there. On a couple spots. And then I have to totally wait till it dries, take off the masking fluid. But by the time I get the bird done, the things I just put on there will be dry. And so let's see there. I'm going to now take my rigger brush to get the smallest branches. So now I'm going to take the rigger or line brush or whatever they call these. And I'm going to go real thin, real thin. And I always go from thick to thin with the branches. Don't try to wisp it. Like I know some people do this when they do branches. They just go like this. That's not how you do branches. That's just gobbledygook. That's nothing. If you're doing a branch, start it and go, and then put the branch on another one. Really work it so that the branches are connected. It's not just a random thing like that. Unless your style, I guess, is so super crazy wild, then yeah, you do that. But if you're doing a style like this, take some time with the branch. The branch is important. That's all this painting is. There's a bunch of branches, and so you don't want it to be looking crazy and messy. I mean, the messy was the background that we did first, and that's fine. Go ahead and be messy with that. Put a couple branches in, a couple more bluer type of branches. Then there's a little, sometimes there may be even little leaves or berries on them. You can do that. I didn't look up if there's any questions. Hey guys, any questions? Nope, okay. I'll just keep on going. So next week we're still doing our class. I know it's going to be maybe the people in my class in Libertyville may want to contact me because we may not do it if it's not enough people. But again, my Saturday classes are, because it's on a holiday, we don't have the classes this on Saturday for next, I think, month because holidays and then me going down to Florida. I'll be doing a bunch of workshops in Florida coming up in January. And also Dillman's festivals. I'm doing these Dillman's festivals in Florida, all the way from Tampa to the Villages to Fort Lauderdale to Marco Island, and where else am I going? Somewhere around there. Check my website. That's where you find everything. All right, so there we have our branches, and I think I'm gonna put a few berries on this time. We're going to get this done fast, guys. We're going to be done in like no time. You just have to do the bird, and I put a couple little berries. I'm not sure if this is a berry kind of tree, but hey, I'm making a berry tree. It'll look neat to have a few berries on here. I mean, why would he be sitting there anyways? He's looking for berries to eat, so. Always make stories up when you're painting your paintings. Let me get some more of this 10% alcohol drink. Wow, that is very good. Honey orange triple. Hey, Marianne, you're late. You have a note? Yeah, you have a note. You're coming in late. All right, so now let's do the bird, and we're just going to go with the lightest part of the bird down to the darkest part, right? And I'm going to let some of it bleed into the background, be soft edge, and I can do that, and I can show you how to do that. Because I noticed with this one, everything's hard edged all the way around. He's a bird, and some parts of the bird would be nice to have it soft edged. It's feathery. And so it'd be nice to have a few spots that have just a little bit of softness to it. But you start out up here, it can be hard edged and nice and vibrant. And so I'm going to clean up my red here a little bit. I'm going to take my little paper towel. Where do I have paper towel? Hold on one second. I don't see anything. I'm going to take a rag here. Put the rag down and then just kind of clean up my red here a little bit. So I want a pure red and pure orange. So I'm just going to clean this out a little bit here. And really, the little bit that's sitting on there is not so much paint. You know, it's just a little bit of, because when you dump other colors into it, I just take my brush like this. I know it's wasting a little bit of paint, but not that much. I just need to have that really bright. And I want to keep it nice and bright with this. This is Scarlet Lake. This is the Brilliant Orange. Put those two together, and then I'm just going to start here and paint the head of the Cardinal. And I didn't wet it first. I'm wetting as I go along. I call this wetting as you go along because I want the hard edge. And then I'm going to, once it's wet, then I can throw other colors in there, of course. And I don't want to throw other colors in this because I do want it bright red. So I don't need to actually throw colors in there, and go right over the black that's going to be on his face. And so first try to get the brightness. And then you can, once you have it wet, then you can go in and then just give it all the nice wet in the wet look. You know, you can do the feathering and the water effects and stuff. Right now I'm looking for the brightest bright I can possibly get up here. And then I will go in with other colors to create shape. So I'm just going in there. And I know I have a hard edge on the outer edge right now. But while I'm working, I may go in with a little brush and then just let it go to the side here. So see how bright that is? So I'm just working with pure pigment, and not often do you work with pure pigment, but this is one time where you want definitely pure pigment. You don't need to mix it because I want to use that exact red, and so just use that exact red. I'm going down here. I'm going to stop at the branch because I can do the tail. That's separate. I can do that. It's not a big deal. And now it's all wet. Now let's sculpt it. Now let's give it the blacks and the darks, and the I use alizarin crimson over here when I want to make it a little bit darker. Oh, this is alizarin crimson right here, or Crimson Lake. I use Crimson Lake, which is just like alizarin crimson. And then I look at the picture and I go, there's a little bit of dark right here by his eyes, and it goes down here, gets a little bit darker, and I'm creating the floating painting, right? The floating paint, and it'll give it that nice soft look, you know, feathery look, because you're doing it wet into wet. And let me see where this goes here. It's going to take a little dark, put a little alizarin. Then you can also take black. The darker you want it, you can actually use black then too. But with the alizarin, it makes it pretty dark, and it kind of dulls down the red. So that's a nice thing. So see how it's all soft edge because it's all wet now. I went around the beak here a little bit because the beak is going to be orange. Down here, I'm going to go a little darker, right where his legs come in. I'm going to get darker and darker. Now I'm using a little bit of black because his wing right here, like the tips of his wings seem to be black. And I can put a little bit of that in now, and I also put some of that in later too when I want more of the line, like the actual line of the wing. Or the little wings have these little lines. I can't get them really sharp right now because it's wet in the wet, but I don't need it right now. I'm just going to go in there with the dark, and then I'll go with the dark lines later. I just want to get the big, all soft edges, right? I want to get soft edges now. I'll get the hard edges when it's dry. That's the way you do it, right? You guys all know that. You're all professionals here, right? Hey, Barbie. Hey, Marianne. Hey, Carol. Karen. Let's see. And I think I got that. Just going to get in there. I'm not getting the line so much as I'm getting, you know, maybe I want to put a little bit, I was just thinking this too, is how about putting some of the color from the back into the bird too? You know, that's not a bad thing to do. So a little bit of this lavender background you can put into the wings here a little bit, and it'll give it a little bit of look like he's in the area, you know, because it's one thing about painting and the difference between a painting and a photograph. A lot of times the photograph doesn't give you as much as you would like to have because the photographer has to do whatever's there. But artists, we can take this little purple in the background and put it into the feather to make it look a little feathery and give it reflected color. So see a little bit of purple in there, how nice that makes it look, which is another thing I didn't do this afternoon. So again, second time is always a charm. So I'm putting a little bit of violet in there. Now let's go down here and get my tail. And the tail is pretty dark on this bird here. It seems like it's very dark in there. So I'm going to take a little darker red, go right over this branch, and the branch will be in the background. And let's go down here. And again, I'm getting the dark parts of things right now. and the soft edge parts. When there's a hard edge in there, like the crown or the mask he's got, excuse me, the mask he has on, he's got this like comic book mask on, you know, for comic book. So he's got the mask of black, and so that I want hard edged. So that'll be fine to have hard edged on there. And here we're going to go a little darker right where the branch is, and then just go down, make some lines for the tail feathers. And then right away, while this is dry here, I'm just going to make this darker and put his little claws in there, holding onto the branch, one in the back. And this is going to be perfect. As long as there are a couple lines there, people are going to know what that is. You know, you're going to know that that's the bird's legs or feet. Little claws that he's clawing onto the branch and stuff, and that's not that important to make them look perfect, you know. As long as they're there and holding it, it's like a lot of times you don't even see the feet because it's like they're inside, you know, his feathers. And so we're just going to put a little dark right there. And while this is all drying and getting a little bit drier, look how bright this red is now, and look how, you know, this is so much better than this afternoon, because this afternoon there was a dark against the light. Now we have light against the dark. And see how those kind of things, juxtaposition, really help out a lot. Hey, Rachel. Thanks for dropping by. Is that Rochelle? Oh, Rochelle. It's pretty small here. Look, I have my glasses on. Let's take another sip. All right. Honey Orange Triple from Belgium. Very good beer. I don't get many 11s, but that I'm going to say is probably 11. It's even a little bit bitter, but it's a good bitter. It's like a tasty bitter, if that makes sense. A tasty bitter. Okay, we're going to put a little bit of the red here on the side. All right, now I'm stalling here a little bit because we're going to get this done in no time. I guess it's kind of fun getting it done faster. And so here we're going to put a little bit of orange on the beak. His beak is a little bit more orange, and if you look close on the picture, their beak makes them look like they're scowling or they're mad. They have a frown on their beak. It's not like up, it's down. So the line that goes in the middle, they're kind of like, they look like, hey, buddy, type of look. So I put a little bit of orange there. Orangey yellow. You can put a little yellow in there too. My yellow has some green, had some blue in it, so it's very green right now. So let me just wash that off a little bit. Get a nice pure red. Oh, I just spilled. Now he's got, look at that, got a dot on his chest. And so let's put a little bit of reddish or yellowish orange here. Make it nice and bright. A little more yellow. I keep on dropping things. Where's this coming from? Let me just get rid of this little line here. I can't really do that because it's got a little round circle there. Can I go in there without wrecking it? Okay, yeah. If you have the same wetness as what's on the paper, and you can push paper and paint around, but if you have it too wet, you're going to make that worse. But if you keep it the same wetness as your brushes, then you can definitely do stuff like that. So that's almost dry. Let's see, can I get around here? Yeah, let's do that right away. So now we're going to go into our detail, and that the black of the bird. And so, where's my smaller? Let's use this little brush. I've used my brushes so much, they're actually wearing out. The tips are wearing out. That happens with brushes, but these are so inexpensive, these brushes, that I've used this now for a good, I don't know how many years I've had these brushes, but I started to notice that I'm starting to wear these out. And it happens, you know, and for like a $6 brush, you know, it lasted a long time. They're really fine point. But they do wear out depending on how much you use them. But they're not a Sable Kolinsky that it costs you hundreds of dollars, and so, you know, you can buy yourself another one. And I just noticed that, and today I did put them in the goop at one time, the red stuff, so I put a grip on them. So the handle is actually outlasting the thing in this time because of how much I use these brushes. And for anybody that's new here, you get my brushes on my website. And I actually am going to start using, because they're Holbein Gold brushes, and I actually have every one of the brushes they make. Where's my box of those? I should show you. every one of the brushes, and so I want to start using this one brush here. Let me just show you real quickly. I have this brush right here. I have all the brushes that Holbein makes. It's the and so look at this brush. This is a number 20 round. I can't wait to start using this one. This thing is huge. Look at that huge, how huge that thing is, and then look at the tip on this thing. It's like you can cut somebody with that. Look at how sharp that thing is. It's amazing how, that's a number 20. So hopefully in time I'll use that. I'm going to test out all the brushes, every single one of them, and they have filberts, and so it's going to be interesting to use that. All right, so I wasted enough time here, I think. I'm going to just turn off the sound again. I got to dry it again, and so that we can do the fine detail stuff and take off the masking fluid, and we'll be done. We'll be done very early. So let me just shut you guys up for a second. Shut my sound off, and then you guys can. Where's my hair dryer? Oh, down here. Okay, with dingle balls here, just down there. All right, let me shut your sound off for a second. Talk amongst yourselves, and I will. Okay, I just saw the question. Do they have a 10 or 12 round? Yes, they do. I just saw they have a 10, they have a 12, and they have a 14 round in their. So they pretty much have every size brush. They even have I think they even have these really fine ones. These like number 2 brushes, like 02, 03, 005, and so they're really like a one hair brush, and so they have those too. And you can probably get those at VermontArtSupply.com. I think that's the only place I think that you can get those brushes. Thanks for the hat. My Christmas hat. You only wear once a year, right? So I also had a little bit of sip there. Okay, so now it looks like it's pretty close to dry. And so how do you take out the masking fluid? Some people use their fingers, but you got to make sure it's totally dry. Not even damp, nothing. It has to be bone dry, and it's not totally bone dry, but I don't have time to make it bone dry. So I'm gonna go in here. You can use your finger like this, or I like to use my native rubber eraser or a rubber cement pickup. That's those square things that they use for rubber cement. You can get those. I don't have one right now. I don't know what to do with my supply of those. But you can use rubber cement pickup, but this works just as good. And actually, while you're doing with the kneaded rubber eraser, you're also erasing the pencil lines you have underneath. So that's kind of I was gonna say killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You don't want to say that in front of the Cardinal. Close his ears. And about the eyes, somebody asked about the eyes. Yes, I will put the eye in there. And on a Cardinal, you really don't see the eye very well, and so you're just gonna put a little bit of a little fleck in there, right in the corner there, to show like a little glassy kind of eye, because you don't want anything like really rounded where it sticks out like it's like a bug eye thing like that. You barely see the eyes on a Cardinal. Yeah, well, I'm still gonna do the eye and the beak. I'm gonna put the little lines and stuff. I still have detail to put on the bird, and I still do have to do that. And I still have to put some shading on this, also on the snow. And then I also got to make it snow here. So I guess it's not as fast as I thought it was going to be. And so here I'm just rubbing out. And this is kind of a boring part to watch, I'm sure, to watch me erase the masking fluid. See how it's not wrecking the paper? So I'm gonna have to contact Stonehenge and talk to them about this. The look at that, it comes right off it. But you just can't put it on that thick. You know, don't put it on so thick. A lot of these masking fluids are really thick. This is almost watery, and so you just have to put a little bit on, and it's gonna look at how white it is. And you know, it didn't wreck the paper. It maybe pulls up a little bit of really slight here and there, little things, but I mean, it's gonna be white there, so it doesn't really matter if it pulls up such a little thing, little piece. I could see, like, if it's wet and you pull off a bunch of stuff, then yes, that's not a good thing. But look at that. Isn't that great that you have a little bit of snow there? I'm going to take now, I take my smaller little brush. I'll take my little flat here. Going to take some lavender. I'm just going to kind of go into with the lavender and then just take the one side and the underside and then just put a little shadow in it. And some of it you'll put a little bit of the shadow over the top because it could be a shadow from something around there. So just don't be so perfect with it. Just go in there and just get the one side. One side can be a little bit shadowy. You can go all across over some of it completely. You can change the color, maybe make it a little lilac or lavender. Let's see, just making it a little bit more shapely. Shape of the snow. There's a shadow side to it, right? It's gonna go in here. And real lightly put in the shadow side. Again, I have some of it's more lilac-like with a little bit more red, and then a couple parts are a little bit more purpley with just lavender. And lavender has white in it, so it's opaque kind of. Ooh, there's still a little bit of masking fluid there. And take your time when you're putting mascoid on or off. Take your time. It's one of those things that if you rush through it, you can really ruin a painting. So take your time when you're putting masking fluid down. And for anybody who doesn't know what masking fluid is, it's like a rubber cement type of thing where it blocks out your watercolor and keeps what's underneath it, like the white of the paper, clean and doesn't let the watercolor go through it. And again, this Holbein masking fluid is really thin. It's almost like water-like. And so you just put a little bit of like a little watery wash on it, and that's enough. You don't need to make it thick. It doesn't have to be like piled on so it's thick. Matter of fact, you don't want that. The more thicker it is, the worse it is, the more it's going to probably tear your paper because it's soaking into your paper then. And I don't care what paper it is. Some papers, you know, will when you're soaking a rubbery substance into the paper, it's going to rip the paper. All right, so there's my shadowing there. And now let's go into the eye real quick. So with the eye, I'm going to take a little bit of, maybe a little bit of white and just, or gray, and then just right here, put a little touch. That's it. And then maybe a little black to make it a little circle because it is not totally black. So just a little round thing there, just enough to say, oh, there's the eye. And you probably don't even see it, right? You probably can't. There's a little dot right there. You can see a little bit. Again, you don't want it to be so important that it sticks out. No, you don't want to do that at all. Now, again, now we're going to put his frown on him, or his mean face. It goes downwards. It's like a frown. It's not upward, unless you maybe you make him look make him look kind of funny by giving him a smile. And then I'm going to put a little bit, I'm going to flick here a little bit to make it look like feathers because it is feathers. And so by flicking and making like a flicking motion with your brush, you can make it look more like feathers, right? And so now I'm going to look at his wing on that photo. And I notice underneath here is a little bit darker. And I'm going to take the small brush and again flicking it and making it like feathery makes it look like feathers. So little dots here. Comes down here a little bit. I'm not making a line because it's not a line. It's a bunch of little lines, little dark, and it's feathers. Feathers are a lot of little lines in a feather. So I'm feathering it. Does that make sense? I'm feathering the feather. I'm feathering his feathers. Okay, I think that 10% beer is getting to me. I'm a lightweight now. So here we're going to go in here and do some more feathering. So let's go here, make the lines. And this is what gives you details. I mean, I'm doing details now, right? And so look at the bird, look at the picture and copy it. If you see something there in the photograph, put it in here. That's fine. It's okay because there's some parts of it that you want to make them look very real. You know, it doesn't have to be totally photographic, but it can be nice and real. It can look exactly what's happening in the bird. or in the picture, you can have it. You know, here's a couple of feathers coming this way. Goes around here a little bit. This is his shoulder. Do birds have shoulders? Any more in the eye or beak? Yes. Let's see. Hat looks good. Thank you. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you, Cindy. All right. A few more things here, and I think he has like a lot of feathers right here. Like there's little feathers. I'm just going to feather this with my brush. And then on his belly, I'm going to put little feathers. It's amazing, these birds, when you look at the cardinals. And my mom has a bird feeder. She lives in the country. And, oh man, they just stand out. You know, thank God they're protected here in Illinois. Because, boy, they'd be so easy to shoot if somebody was shooting them or something. Or even for prey. I mean, eagles or whatever, they can see them like a million miles away. They just stand out like unbelievably. The bright red they have on them is just amazing. So I am going to use a little bit of pink. I'm going to take a little bit of white, or just take pink here, and I will put a little pink white reflecting in his crown. I'm just going to put a little bit of pink, I think, just to kind of make a light part right here, like his crown here. I'm just going to put a little bit of that in there. And what else? I think yeah, actually he's got some pinkish feathers coming here too. So again, don't be afraid of getting detail. I mean, there's time and place for detail, and the whole painting isn't detailed, and that's fine. I've got to put a little bit more of a highlight in his eye. There we go. There's time and place for all of that. You know, you don't want everything completely detailed, because then if everything's detailed, then nothing's important, and everything's important, and then your eyes are looking all over. Here, because I'm doing this only one part detailed, then that's more important, right? And so you're going to get your eye to look there more, and so that's more of your center of interest. All right, so I think that's it for that. Now, let's make it snow. And so to make it snow, there's many different ways. I was going to actually do a video on that, how many different ways there are to make it snow. You can have a toothbrush, and you can spatter with a toothbrush. You can spatter like this with a regular brush. With this kind of brush, you can tap it and hit it. They make screens that you can put on the screen and you blow through it to make snow. I think the easiest, and again, always test this out on a sheet of paper before you do it on your painting, is I'm just going to take my round brush, my round number, numbers you can't see anymore. This is a number 16. And you're just going to put it into white. And I'm going to tap it onto my palette here, and that's way too much. See how big those are? So that's too wet, and so I'm going to tap down a little bit. That's a little bit too wet. Again, I just want to have a little bit small. There we go. So in my palette, you can see there's a little round spatter. So now I take my finger and I just tap it on there. See? You just tap it on your finger. Some people like to take another brush. You can do that. Take another brush and just tap it down. So that's what I'll do. I'll take this brush over, and I'm just going to tap down, straight down. If you go on an angle, you're going to get these shots across it. So always straight down. Straight down. Let it snow a little bit. You notice I'm not putting a lot over here. I just, you can put some on the bird. That's fine. It's just I don't want to cover all that stuff I've done there and with just nothing but snow. So I'm just putting, again, oh my gosh, all over me. Well, that's why you wear a apron, I guess. On my new glass too. Oh man, my new beer glass. All right, so here we have it snowing. Any more on the eye or beak? I did that. Hey, Phil. Phil's up there. You got snow up there by you, Phil? Up there in Minocqua? Phil is one of my friends and students up in Minocqua area. Woodruff, I think. And also a former, like myself, he is actually still an illustrator for TV storyboards. Just wonder if it's snowing up there right now. So here you go. I think that's going to be about it for, see how I have snow in there? So a little picture, and I'm leaving that alone. Going to leave that all the way it is. And anything else? I don't see anything else. I'm going to put a few more berries in there. You can. It's up to you. But that's pretty much it, right, guys? And let me take the tape off, and I hope everybody has a super holiday. Have a great Christmas tomorrow, Christmas Eve tomorrow. Nice Christmas. And then coming next week, we'll be hopefully celebrating New Year's. And I'm going to have a fun, I got a plan. Somebody had suggested something to paint, and I think I'm going to use it next week. I'm going to see if I can find a picture of it. I'm not going to tell you what it is until next week, and so you'll see. Can't tell you everything, right? All right, so here you go. Here's our cardinal this evening, and here's our cardinal this afternoon. And so he's a little bit, a little bit more fit. This is Grandpa, and this is the son. And so, guys, have a great Christmas. Have a great holiday season. And if any questions on anything, and thank you everybody for anybody who donated and bought and has given me so much for these things. Thank you so much. Cheers. Merry Christmas, and not a Happy New Year yet.